Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Well, if I seem a little off or a little tired, it's because I am. I need to get some toothpicks and keep my eyelids open today because about to fall asleep. I was up most of the night. Got a couple hours of sleep, but I was up most of the night responding to some medical calls. And then this morning went over and we are trying to, our emergency response team is trying to help out the little small local school, put up a greenhouse and kind of get that going so that the children can start learning about plants and gardening. And eventually, I think the eventual goal is, and we're not in charge of this, we're assisting. But the eventual goal, I think, for the school is to have like a little, almost like a little barnyard, have some chickens, a chicken coop, you know, maybe even at some point some little goats or something, so that they can start teaching the children actual homesteading skills. So that's really cool. So I was doing that this morning, and then overnight the call. So it's just, and then tonight I've got fire training, doing that, getting my state certification. So yeah, just a little tired, a lot of things going on. Want to shift gears a little bit today. We've been talking a lot about the protests, riots, civil war, you know, all that kind of stuff, which it's just getting worse. But remember, I say this often, that a lot of times the things that are more prominent in, you know, in our focus, right? Things that are happening, sometimes they're also being used as a smokescreen so that things really devious can be done behind the scenes, and a lot of people don't know it. And I think that there's some of that going on, especially when it comes to our currency, the banking system, the economy, all that kind of stuff. Now, for a few years now, I've been talking about central bank digital currencies. I've had so many people comment in the comment section that, oh, it's never going to happen. That's just, it's a conspiracy theory. You know, that's not going to happen. And if it does, it's decades away. Come on, people. A vast majority of the planet has already either switched to central bank digital currencies or are actively working and testing them. We are too. We're just a little bit behind most of the world. We're not at the end of the line. We're kind of in the middle. But we've been doing the same thing. And SWIFT banking system, which is, if you're familiar with what SWIFT is, it is the transfer. It's how banks communicate and transfer for money. They're the ones that, if you remember, when we started sanctioning Russia, that was one of the first things we did, is kicked Russia off the SWIFT system, which has really led to BRICS and Russia and China and stuff, you know, developing their own monetary system. But anyways, SWIFT banking system says that they are about 12, maybe 18 months away from having a central bank digital currency system. So if we're not going to be switching to CBDCs, then what's going on there? I have heard from several people that have contacted me that work at just local banks, and they're telling me that the bank that they work at has pretty much already switched over. I mean, of course, there's still the US dollar and the paper currency and all that, but as far as their back office system has already been switching over to central bank digital currencies, or they're getting that software, they're doing the training so that when the transition happens, they're ready for it. So that's happening. We've been watching gold and silver go up. I know it came down a little bit, but it's still in the 2300s for gold and around $27 for silver. That's quite high, especially for gold. And we're watching other countries, especially Russia and China, gobble it up. You know, they've really been putting a lot of money into gold. China has been dumping massive amounts of U.S. bonds and switching that over to gold. Japan was wanting to do the same thing because, you know, their currency, their economy is completely in the tank. I mean, they're about to be completely like insolvent. You know, their dollar's going to be worthless. Their currency is going to be worthless. But they were wanting to dump a bunch of U.S. bonds so that they could shore up their own currency. And the United States said, no. You can't do that. Which shows the amount of power and control we have. If you've been watching for the last few weeks, paying attention, online in the news, alternative news, things like that. BRICS has been building and building and building. They're constantly talking about how issuing news releases that the U.S. dollar, the U.S.'s prominence in the global monetary system is about to fall. They're about to fail. They're about to collapse. All this kind of stuff. There's now, I believe, and this number's probably changed, but the last time I checked, there are about 30 countries that are currently wanting to join BRICS. 30 more countries on top of the ones that joined last year. So that's happening. We're hearing stuff from that China and Russia and Saudi Arabia and Iran and all these other countries are doing more and more trade outside of the U.S. dollar. So all of this is happening, and it is pushing us to a digital currency. Now, I've said before that, it's possible that when they're ready, they'll cause the U.S. dollar to collapse and then switch over to digital currency. And I've had people ask, well, how does that work? How does that work? I'm not the expert here, but I just know that it's very possible that they could just say, the dollar's done. We're gonna reset the system, right? We're gonna zero it out. I mean, if they can print money, if they can just add zeros to the books, then they can take them away, right? And everyone's just going to switch over to this digital currency. And you turn in your U.S. dollars, and we'll give you 50 cents on the dollar, or 75 cents, or 25 cents, whatever it is. And here now you've got digital currency. It will actually I think it will be a smooth transition for most people. The vast majority of Americans have been using digital currency exclusively, really, for a while now. And I'm talking about, your debit cards and paying with your phone, swiping and all that kind of stuff, the chip readers and everything. It is a form of digital currency. Yes, it's US dollar based. It's not central bank digital currency based, but it's still digital currency. And if you look at the polling and stuff, there's very few, only a smaller percentage of Americans actually carry currency on them anymore. So many Americans just don't. And so I think it will be a very smooth transition. Also, I noticed the MSNBC, speaking of banks and everything, MSNBC has a news headline either today or yesterday saying that there are hundreds of U.S. banks that could potentially fail. There was one just last week that failed. It hardly even got a mention in the news. I mean, it was like, here it is, and then gone. Everyone forgot about it. But it was, another bank failed. And now MSNBC is saying that there could be hundreds of banks fail. Okay? How close are we getting to that? Is it going to happen this year, next year, 5 years down the road? I don't know. But I can tell you, and I've said this so many times, that when they switch us over to a digital currency and the US dollar is done, that's kind of in game right there. That's in game. And they may be waiting till after the election or something else. I don't know. But once they force everyone onto a digital currency, they can pretty much control you in just about every way possible. They'll be able to monitor you. And I know there's a lot of people, well, we'll just keep on using those paper dollars. Well, that's great, but no businesses are going to accept them. You can't just walk into the gas station and say, well, I want to use my paper currency. And the gas station's like, no, because what am I supposed to do with it? My bank doesn't accept it. The bills that I have to pay don't accept it. So no. They have a way of doing this. Maybe you could use use the old paper currency or make your own paper currency or any other type of currency for local bartering and stuff, trading. That's fine. But as far as like paying your bills and, buying your groceries, if you don't have the digital currency, don't know what to tell you. This is I think one of the biggest deals. I mean, I've said before, the biggest thing happening right now in our time is the illegals coming across the border. But this digital currency it's almost like the final nail in the coffin. And they're pushing it hard. I don't feel that I am exaggerating in any bit about how the severity of this. There's been people that want this to happen. You know, certain world leaders and stuff that are pushing for the digital currency that say, yeah, we will be able to monitor everything that you do. We'll be able to control. We'll be able to help the planet, because now we can control how much fuel you use. We can control how much food that you buy, what kind of food that you buy, how much junk that you buy. We can cut down on violence because we can control the guns that you purchase and the ammunition for those guns, all this kind of stuff. We'll be able to know everything, like the all-seeing eye. So don't tell me that this is not going to happen, or that they don't really want this to happen, or that I'm exaggerating, because it is. It's happening. They want it to happen, and it's probably worse than I'm even telling you. And there has been several things in the news over the last couple of weeks or so indicating that there is a lot of work being done behind the scenes while everyone's focused on Ukraine or Israel or Gaza or the riots, or the election, you know, Trump in court, all this kind of stuff. There's definitely been a lot of movement behind the scenes between the banks and the Fed and the Treasury and the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank and, you know, all this kind of stuff. They're all kind of moving behind FDIC, like setting up the stage, getting all the chess pieces right where they want them. And that's dangerous. That's something that we need to be aware of. I don't have a perfect solution for this. You know, I can tell you, if you want to avoid starving to death when the supply chain, you know, collapses, or when food becomes so contaminated that you can't eat it, then you need to go grow food, right? You need to produce food, grow it, raise it, whatever, go forage for it. That's actually a pretty easy answer. The answer to your money, you know, I mean, gold and silver, you know, actual bullion, silver and gold, that doesn't fix everything. It fixes some things, but it doesn't fix everything. Bartering, trading, that doesn't fix everything. There's no real good solution to this. And, you know, if it comes down to it, and I'm not saying that this is going to happen, I'm not advising you to do these things, but it's very possible that it will get to the point that the only way to really survive this is to just completely disconnect yourself from the system, period. I mean, to the point of destroying your phone, just living off, you know, in the woods. I don't know. Because when they have complete control of the monetary system and complete control of your currency, your purchases, everything, it's going to be real hard for you to be a prepper and all that kind of stuff if you're dependent upon that system. So I'm telling you, this stuff's happening. I mean, it's happening behind the scenes. It's happening right before our eyes. It's not as exciting, you know. It doesn't sound or look as exciting as, you know, a headline saying, oh, the SWIFT banking system switching over to central bank digital currencies, as opposed to hundreds of people are burning buildings and rioting and fighting with cops and, you know, blah, blah, blah. That's way more exciting. So it draws people's attention. But I assure you, this that's happening is very, very serious. And it's kind of almost an end game kind of thing. So you better be ready for it. I mean, when I talk about being capable of being self-sufficient, being capable of just living completely off the system, completely, this is the kind of stuff I'm talking about. And you should do your very best to get as far away as you can from it, or at least have the capability. You know, the capability to cutting yourself off from the system when the time comes. Don't know that that's going to fix it, but I don't know of any other real solutions. Folks, it's time to get your houses in order and to prepare yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.